We are now on time. We are
All
officially
right.
on time.
Oh, we're on time.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Take out your notebooks. It's time for the AP exams.
No!
What?
This is not
What?
what I signed up for.
No, I'm out. Can I still bail?
Yeah,
Fastest room clear. All right. Who's ready for some Zelda at 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday? All right. So welcome to our panel. So I just want to say this is our very first panel here at MAGFest for Zelda Universe. So please be sure to tell everyone how great we are so that they'll invite us back next year. So I am Andrew Fick. I'm also known on the internet as Laughing Boy. I am the guides director for Zelda Universe, so if you're wondering whose fault it is as to why the Breath of the Wild guide is not complete, don't patronize me. And
okay.
my voice is a little thrown, but luckily I have three lovely, lovely panelists here with me to help me do this. If you guys could introduce yourselves to us.
Hi, I'm Sayanella. I am a contributor. I've worked with Zelda Universe a bunch. I create content on YouTube and Twitch, some of which is actually Zelda. I'm actually doing Majora's Mask 3D right now.
my turn.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, Miss A's super cool. She
Aw.
deserves all the applause.
Oh, you're all cool.
I was about to say, what's your name?
I am Eric Schuler. I'm one of the Twitch broadcasters for Zelda Universe. I also am a features writer, though I haven't written anything for a while. I've been so focused on Twitch. Be sure if you ever end up watching Zelda Universe on Thursday nights, that is me streaming. So.
I'm MC, and I'm most known for running Zeldathon, which is pretty fun. But in addition, I've worked with Zelda Universe in the past. I edited Zelda News for a while, and I've also contributed just by hanging around, and I voiced Ravio during the Hyrule Warriors dub.
Oh, shoot!
Yeah, I was Ravio.
Oh.
I am Ravio.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Go check out all of our Zelda dubs. They're awesome.
There's some auditions coming up.
my.
We've got some new
Yeah.
dub projects coming up this year. I know one of them, I believe, is a redub of Hyrule Warriors, so we've got that going on.
Ogre
Ooh.
of Time this summer.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten my callback. Where's my callback? I should be hunting down Alex Rosenberg.
Let's move on.
Alex Trevino.
Trevino.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
Alex. And speaking of Alex's, so yeah, let me just kind of go first. Really, our panel could not have happened here today without Alex's help. Alex Rosenberg, our media director, who could not be here with us today because he has to work, which sucks. Because I mean, the thing was, I really was considering just waiting until 2019 to do the panel. I came up with the idea we should go to MAGFest next year because I have anxiety and I don't want to try and plan this in 2 months, but he really pushed to make sure that this happened. So everyone just give a big round of applause to Alex Rosenberg.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex, you're so cool.
Next time. One last order of business. So this, whoops, I went a little too ahead of myself. So
What?
this probably won't affect any of you because we're all Zelda fans here, right? And we're hoping that you have most likely beaten the main campaign, saved Hyrule, and discovered that Link has a penchant for cross-dressing.
Too late for that, spoiler alert.
Whoopsie doodles. Yeah, we are not going to hold anything back here. This is your last chance spoiler warning. So if you have not completed at least the main campaign, we won't go too in-depth into DLC 2, but yeah, we kind of hope that you guys have kind of gotten through it by now.
Here's the biggest spoiler. You fight Ganon in the end.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There's no point in playing the game now if you started.
Unfortunately, no. The final boss is not a man dressed as a bokoblin.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. My bad.
Maybe he should have been on the panel. Damn.
Oh, I can still leave. I can still go.
Wow. Look at all
So yeah,
these
let's talk
awards.
about Breath of the Wild.
What?
One of
It's-
Nintendo's most well-regarded games. I mean, let's just take a look at the list of awards. We did this at PAX Australia first, and I had to add more awards to it. It won IGN's E3 Game of the Show, Destructoid, like it won all these Best of Shows at E3. Most recently has won Japan's Game of the Year Award, the Golden Joystick Game of the Year Award, as well as the Game Awards Game of the Year Award.
I was there for that.
I'm very happy.
Yeah,
for
that
you.
was super exciting. I was glad.
I was ready for the Mario one. I was ready for the Mario one. I accepted it,
And
and when,
me too.
when it popped up, I like popped off, and I was like, all my friends were like, I knew it. I didn't know it, but I knew it.
but see, what happened right before Zelda is they were like super hardcore Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh.
Yeah,
Jump Up
they
Superstar,
had
she's
they had
just
the
come
singer
out.
and everything.
Ooh, did I?
And then they were like, well, that's enough Mario. Zelda won.
Mario's cool and all, but is it really the game of the year?
This
It-
isn't the Mario Universe panel.
No,
we're here to
unfortunately.
talk about all the awards that Breath of the Wild got.
Well, and the reviews don't stop there because we actually have reviews.
There he is.
Accurate representation.
That's my favorite selfie pose ever. It works in every situation. So reviewers and critics have definitely loved this game, and it's been like the darling child of the Switch, of course. It did not beat Ocarina of Time, the original release, but it did beat the 3DS version, so whatever. Only 4 games ever have gotten a better score so far than Breath of the Wild, and those games are, because I have this lovely list in front of me, Ocarina of Time, of course. Soul Calibur got a 98 in 1999. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 in 2000. And Grand Theft Auto 4 are the only 4 games to have received a higher review score than Breath of the Wild as of this writing.
I'm actually impressed that Mario Galaxy didn't make the list.
And Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 are right there.
Yeah.
They're right there.
And we didn't have this information at the time, but I mean, Mario Odyssey ties Breath of the Wild
Oh, wow.
for 97%
Wow, very good.
on Metacritic. Very important. So I have a couple questions for my panelists here. We're going to talk about some stuff, talk shop, because it's fun. Is Breath of the Wild better than Ocarina of Time?
We're diving right in.
The hard-hitting questions
We
right
actually-
off the bat.
Right.
We had this, and I'm pretty sure Cody planned this. Our guy of guys, he made sure to actually put this as a quiz.
Oh, so
or-
that explains why
Yeah,
he wants
already-
to get lynched.
I think
Yeah.
I already answered this at our PAX panel, but Ocarina of Time was my favorite Zelda game since 1998. But it is now Breath of the Wild. I love Breath of the Wild way too much. It's been really hard to dethrone Ocarina of Time for me, but it took my heart.
I'm pretty much the same way. I flip-flopped a long time over Ocarina of Time and actually Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I like
Because
Skyward Sword,
I
too.
love Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
Skyward Sword is great, and it does have its issues, but hey, what can you do? But what can you do except not play the game? Anyway, I think they're so different that they're hard to compare. They're like Breath of the Wild has a lot of elements from core Zelda games, and it is a core Zelda game, of course, but Ocarina of Time is a lot more classic. It is like the classic Zelda game, so if that's what you're looking for, it probably is going to be more up your alley, because Breath of the Wild is so big, so open, and you don't have a whole lot of direction. It's a lot more about exploring and seeing what you can find, as opposed to Ocarina of Time being more about going through every single step of the way.
And I mean, so I think like one of the better questions is, I'm going to break down this question. Is Breath of the Wild better than Ocarina of Time? Is it a better game, or is it a better Zelda game? And because a lot of people, I've heard people say, Breath of the Wild's not a Zelda game. Like, oh, have you seen like the title of the game where it says The Legend of Zelda? I mean, who are you to say what a Zelda game? Triforce here is a Zelda game, and that's a mystery. But no. In all seriousness, I mean, like, it comes down to me if it's like, sometimes I have a favorite game, but I recognize that there's a better game. Like, The Wind Waker is still my favorite Zelda game, absolutely. But I recognize that Ocarina of Time is probably a more solid game, like on all fronts. Like there's more you can criticize about Wind Waker than you can criticize about Ocarina of Time, in my opinion.
But at that point, sorry, I don't mean to interject, but at that point, Wind Waker has so much more to offer in the sense of
Yes.
like a world, and like it opens itself up more to being criticized because of how much more it has in it too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different angles that you can look at it from.
Water in my Zelda?
I do want to point out that Ocarina of Time in its day was the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is Breath of the Wild the best Zelda game of 2017? I think absolutely.
It is the best Zelda game of 2017.
Yeah, and Ocarina of Time did define 3D Zelda.
Yeah.
So
This is true.
But I think in that vein, Breath of the Wild is going to define open world type Zelda games in much of the same way that the NES original kind of had its own open world. And I think that return to form in a 3D scale and a much larger scale lends itself to, in my opinion, I had to think about this like long and hard, just the idea of what's your favorite Zelda game? All right, well, what Zelda game am I going to go back to? What Zelda game, if I'm just jonesing for some Zelda right now, what am I going to do? And it's hard to say because I don't know if I would start Breath of the Wild from the beginning again.
But there's probably
there's
still
just-
more to do. There's
I
probably still
would.
more to do.
Yeah.
I would. I already have.
I say that, and I've gone through the game twice technically, but I mean, when you really think about it, it's a weird, like, long story short, because I'm trying to moderate myself. I just find myself really wanting to play Breath of the Wild more than I've wanted to play any other Zelda game. Maybe Skyward Sword.
I think maybe if we wanted to put a cap on this question, to answer, is Breath of the Wild better than Ocarina of Time, we could just put a giant question mark up on the screen, and that is our answer. I don't think there is one defined answer on this one.
It is up to
That is
you.
an excellent answer.
For an open-ended question, there sure is a list that proves otherwise. So going on to our next question, what do you think is, and I'm literally reading verbatim, what is Breath of the Wild's secret sauce? Why do you think that this has succeeded when other games have kind of failed to live up to the promise of Ocarina of Time?
Rivali's in the game.
The secret.
Shirtless Link.
The secret. The secret sauce is the blood of bokoblins.
It's a very
I'm looking
secret
at that
sauce.
bokoblin back there.
Do you want us to answer seriously now?
I was being serious.
I
I
would
don't
hope
know.
so.
Okay, honestly, okay. Being serious, I think because it's so different from the other Zelda games, it makes it stand out a whole lot more. And besides that, it's so flexible in what you can do. Like I've seen people complete shrines in completely different ways than what I've done, and it's like everyone has their own way of going about things. There's different ways of fighting, there's a different way of doing everything, and I feel like that has given it a lot more personality than it would have had otherwise. It's so flexible and so you can do your own thing, and I think everyone can kind of relate to some way of doing different things.
Yeah, they really gave a lot of control to the player this time around. You know, a lot of people are complaining that Skyward Sword was too linear.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Even though it's like one of my favorites, it's like I can agree with that.
Yeah, and because like they were like, you know, heck with it. We're just gonna let the player do what they want.
Yeah. I think we're talking about like doing what you want, and let's go back to your very serious answer of Shirtless Link made this game the secret sauce. I
number one
think
answer.
there's actually some credence to that because I remember playing Ocarina of Time and being like, hold on. I can put on the blue tunic and wear that around for her? That's awesome. That's great. That's amazing. But now I can put Link in any outfit I want. I can have him dressing up like a Lionel and all this stuff. And even with naked Link with his little boxers on, did you know if you get the amiibo, the heroes shorts, they're even shorter underwear?
what? Wait,
I know.
what? I didn't
It's
know.
true.
I'm gonna
I've
play
done
Breath of the
science
Wild
for
again.
you all.
I did not know there were
I did
amiibo
not know
pants.
that.
You
like
can make
that.
even more naked Link.
Oh my God! Wait, you gotta show me this because I
I
didn't know
want to
this.
see this.
And that is the secret sauce.
Can we go to Google Images right now?
Do any of you guys remember Twilight Princess when he was like, he had like no shirt and people were like, ooh.
And his abs looked
And then Breath of the Wild
That was
was
only
like,
for 5 seconds.
did
I
not
raised.
look better in the HD version. Looked like a face.
Obviously, it's shirtless Link. That's the secret sauce.
The exploration, the open world, and how you can play the game how you want to play it. I think.
Okay,
that
the
is
word the word secret sauce isn't doing me any favors.
No, it's not. Who wrote this?
This is Zelda Universe After Dark in the morning.
10 in the morning.
Who hasn't slept yet? It's after dark for you.
Yeah. Guess that's the way to work around it. But no, I agree. Not necessarily the shirtless part, but really that's just it's one facet of really giving power to the player. And I think we've kind of, as a PS4 player, I've been finding a lot of very narrative, very story-driven games. And I think the more technologically advanced that they are, the more better that they can tell a story. But the more better they can tell a story, the more freedom they take away from the player. And Breath of the Wild, like everyone, if anybody criticizes Breath of the Wild for one thing, it's that it doesn't have much of a story, but it's so much more of a game, and you can explore things, and you can feel excited about finding something that was just kind of off the beaten path and hidden somewhere that you would never find it otherwise. And it's just kind of cool to be like, oh, hey, look, there's this little treasure chest in the river. I'm going to magnesis it and take it. But I can't take it because my weapon slots are full.
Yeah,
so just dump it back.
Yeah, ultimately, players create their own stories. And I think, that's sort of like the epitome of gaming right there. So
yeah, Breath of the Wild, if it's not necessarily a better Zelda story, in my opinion, it's a better Zelda game.
yeah.
So after that, we're going to talk a little bit about exploration, and I'm going to actually pass this off to Masay. Masay?
Oh boy.
Let's talk about looking for stuff.
First, I'm talking about shirtless Link, and now I'm talking about exploration.
Different kind of
I
exploration.
like where this is going.
So exploration has always been a huge, huge theme in Zelda games. Some a little bit lighter than others, but for the most part, you can crawl around, find heart pieces, find rupees, find supplies, or whatever. You go around, you find little secrets throughout the world, and you take them with you, and it makes you stronger. I mean, we've all had that one heart piece or that one thing that we cannot find in the entire world, and then we find out that it's right in front of our faces the whole time, and I hate that. And this is the first time that Zelda has been open world, like actually open world, since the NES days. So it's truly like a weird return to form where Breath of the Wild has elements from way back in the very beginning of the series, but it's so updated and so gorgeous. I mean, look at that freaking backdrop.
You can go to those mountains.
Yeah, you can go to those mountains. That was like Xenoblade's joke for a long time, but now I think Breath of the Wild has kind of taken that from it. So for you guys, is Zelda an open world? Is Zelda as an open world a natural fit?
I think so. Just when you look at that return to the NES Zelda and being able, you're just literally dropped in this world, and the only thing that you have going for you is a guy that tells you to take this sword and just use it at things. And you can choose not to if you want to. But there are so many different ways that you can play this particular Zelda, and maybe if they did a little bit more on story, but I think being able to explore, being able to find things, I think was the basis of Zelda to begin with. So I think making it open world is perfect.
I mean, I was going to say that with The Legend of Zelda, I've always felt it's been an open world to a degree. Like, I mean, of course, you're going back to Zelda 1, but I mean, like, even the Wind Waker, you sailing around to different islands, and even Skyward Sword, even though it was very constricted, it felt like an open world. Like, you could choose kind of like where you want to go in particular areas. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm trying to expand the word open world. I've always felt the willingness, the want to explore. In Ocarina of Time, when I was a kid and I walked out into Hyrule Field, I was like, this is an open world. I can go anywhere. And I know it's not the open world that we talk about today, but I've always felt that sense of mystique. So when I got to Breath of the Wild and I can go to that mountain, I was like, this is the Hyrule I've always wanted, and I feel like it feels like it's now only first possible on a system. Like we're seeing this in the way that it should be. So I don't think that Zelda's ever not been wanting to be an open world. I think it's just now first time really possible in the way that Nintendo has intended.
Yeah, I definitely concur with that. In its root, Zelda has always been about exploration. That's what Miyamoto intended. He was inspired by exploring caves in Kyoto as a child. So, that open worldness, that sense of adventure, that sense of exploration, the open world design naturally lends itself to that. And so I think open worlds and Zelda is a nice peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I can definitely agree with that. I do feel like it is a natural step, but I feel like Breath of the Wild really took the limiters off of what you can do as opposed to previous Zelda games. I think that's more what the comparison between the NES Zelda and Breath of the Wild is that there's not really barriers to cross before you can access certain areas, like you need the hook shot to get to certain places, or you need so and so item to go elsewhere. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, you get pretty much all of your essential exploring tools right at the beginning of the game, and then it's like, go nuts, have fun. You're completely lost. Good luck.
I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know the prototype for Breath of the Wild was basically a NES Zelda.
A 2D
What?
a 2 game.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I
They
did not know
did a
that.
prototype that was based off of the NES sprites. But
my God.
you could-
For testing
they
out
had
some
to
of the
test it.
physics
I
and
wanna see that.
like how things should work. Like when you set a log on fire, does it go down the river and all?
Yeah,
that.
if you
That's
guys,
pretty
it's
cool.
actually on YouTube. It's a GDC talk, and the Zelda director talks about how they went about creating the game. You should look it up.
That's really neat. I need to look that up later.
Yeah.
But for now,
But for now, Breath of the Wild boasts the biggest area to explore in all of Zelda. I don't think that's debatable. we can debate about the open worldness, but it is the biggest world to date for the Zelda series, and it beats out even some popular Western RPGs. Some certain ones come to mind. I'm not gonna throw shade. But Twilight Princess did get kind of knocked. It did have a fairly open, fairly big world, but a lot of it was pretty bare.
That area by Kakariko, where it was just just
Yeah.
a big area where you fight King Bubbling once, and then
It's basically a big boss stage.
it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a boss stage repurposed into empty space.
Yeah, exactly. But what makes Breath of the Wild different in that area? What was the world filled with enough to keep it interesting, and why?
Yes.
Where's the why part?
Because the game released in March and I still haven't gotten everything.
That's right.
The end. and I mean, yeah, you can go long stretches without nothing being there, but hey, I mean, can you go run out inside the world right now and go start running across the Virginia landscape and just find a house to go run in every 5 minutes? No.
I mean, you
technically.
can.
What am I talking about?
I just got one word to say about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Drop that rock.
Drop
on.
that rock.
I personally thinking on past Zelda games, when you look at Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time, it really is just a hub. It's not really meant for you to go do anything cool, except for that one, and I can't remember the helicopter enemy that scared the crap out of me when I
P-hats.
thank you, P-hat.
Yeah.
There's
Scared the
just pieces of hearts inside little grottos, like the one by Lake Hylia.
I was like, what is that? Why is it coming for me? It was so scary. But it was really just meant for you to go other places. It wasn't really meant for you to kind of explore like the original Hyrule and NES Zelda was, or to some degree Adventures of Link. But I think this does it better, where you're having fun 50-50 exploring and beating people up, and you're just kind of being able to do what you want except when it's raining, and then you can just go fight stuff or cook or just kind of
You can't cook without fire.
You can't cook without fire, which you can't have fire without. Actually, there's one place. But anyway, I think Breath of the Wild's world is a lot more open, but it's also a lot more available to just kind of do the things that you want to do.
I also want to add, like, the enemies are, like, they're the best recycled enemies I've ever seen in a game. Have you ever, like, observed them, like, when they're just, like, sitting there and they're, like, talking
when they're
to
hunting,
each
it's
other?
so
They're
cute.
like, yeah, I know. They have, like, the best behaviors ever.
Yeah.
And
they do.
Lizalfos just
Yeah.
stare at things for about 5 minutes, and you're just staring at them, staring at
The
things for about 5
Lizalfos are
minutes.
my favorite.
Yeah.
They're really good. So moving on, we have one more question about exploration. Many of the side quests in the game were meant to get you out into that wilderness and exploring. Did they work for you guys, and did you guys enjoy the side quests?
Riddles are really difficult, I've discovered over time by playing Breath of the Wild. A lot of the side quests are riddle-based. And
That's fair.
I find myself staring at these riddles for a solid 10 minutes and be like, man, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to do it. But then I look it up. Yeah, the actual task is usually pretty easy and fun, and I enjoy it. But when I staring at this riddle for a solid 10 minutes, I'm like, I got nothing. I'm done.
A certain Zora comes to mind.
There was
Oh, yes.
There was one side quest, I remember, like, when you first enter Hyrule Field, the Riverside stable, I think, and then there was this guy, and he's like, you know what, I want a recipe from Hyrule Castle. And this was, like, right at the beginning of me
And you're like,
playing
no.
the
Sure.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wrong.
Like, really? You want me to go there?
Would you like a recipe for cooked apple? I got that one on lock.
And then you come back when it's like, I want something else, though. Sure,
I mean, you've
I'll
got
go
Hyrule
get
Castle, guy.
I've got time.
Do you see the ominous swirling darkness?
You know what I want? I want a recipe from that.
And then you have to also get like the equipment. No, I think my favorite side quest to do actually is the go get me a horse side quest. If you have a Link amiibo, you can just pop it right in and complete the
God.
side quest in 10 seconds because all you have to do is just get on the horse and it's like, whoa, that's amazing!
That was
You
so
gave
fast.
Epona
You're great
away?
at this.
What? No, you don't give him. No, not that one.
Oh, not that one? Okay,
No,
never mind.
literally
Never
the
mind.
very
Canyon.
first time when you get a horse and you bring it to the stable and the guy's like, but you can't do it in 2 minutes.
Oh,
And then you take out your little toy and you're like, but you can.
oh, I gotcha.
It counts.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
But I think the other issue, my personal issue with side quests is that it usually, I think the rewards are kind of scant. Like it's like, great, I got rupees. Great, I got bomb arrows.
Wait, you didn't appreciate Korok poop?
No, I didn't.
It was golden.
I didn't get it. So
I don't think many people did.
Not many, and but I think like some of the rewards could have been better if they could have maybe done like some equipment pieces. I know some equipment can be found in shrines, but
Treasure chests. I
Yeah.
agree there. I definitely agree there.
but otherwise, because I think you need to value the player's time if they're going to go out and do something, especially if they're going to try and figure it out. If you're going to give them a riddle, give them a decent prize.
I can agree there. Just to hijack off of that really quick, I won't
Yeah.
spend too much on this.
Okay.
But I played that one quest where you have to go and search for that guy's wife down the river. That took me like 5 hours, and I could never find her.
Yeah.
I
You're
talking
skimmed
about the
over
Zora?
her. Yeah, you have to like go down the freaking river. It took me 5 hours. I circled that river the entire length of it from that point all the way down to Lake Hylia.
And then she's just
it was
chilling there.
She's
She's
just
just
chilling
chilling
there. And the thing is, when I first got there, the first 2 times, I skipped over her
I
by
didn't
accident.
even see her either. I could not find her for the
You
life
get
of me.
fish for that. It's stupid.
Oh no, I think what was the best part? It wasn't just that you got fish. In your case, it was that you got fish that were already in the lake.
I
that you
know.
collected about
It's
20.
so bad. I was pissed. I'm still pissed.
Speaking of value the player's time with excellent prizes, trivia time. So, we're going to ask you a question. Don't shout the answer, please. But we have fabulous prizes to give away. Just raise your hand when we ask the question, and I will come down to you. I have this special little microphone right here.
It's extra loud.
I had to make sure not to put these too close together. But yeah, once I bring you up, you'll say the answer, and we will win fabulous prizes. Today's very first prize Some trinkets. We went to a fan gamer booth and we picked up the Big Boss keychain as well as the life meter pin set.
Big boss.
Fangamer's awesome. Go buy them.
Fangamer is awesome, and go buy them. Go buy the company.
Go buy the entire company.
You got a couple extra bucks to spend.
And you get all the keychains you can carry.
It was an impulse buy.
They have a really cool Zelda localization book right now too.
They have an excellent
localization.
Zelda localization book if you're interested in that, but we don't have it tonight, so today. All right, so here's our first trivia question.
Again, hands in the air.
Got.
Oh,
Who
who
did
dat?
ask it? Dang it! Everyone who works for Bolson has a particularly unique feature. What is it? All right, let me just
That's a lot
head
of
down here.
hands.
Dun. Wow, there's so many people who know.
Hello, everybody. So, I'm an extra. All right, let's see here. Who do we got? I think I'm gonna go with the cosplay guy first. What's your name?
Ken.
Ken, can you answer everyone what the unique feature of everyone who works for Bolson is?
They all have sun in their name.
That is exactly correct. Come on up. Pick up your prize. Come with me.
Congratulations, you have won a thing.
All the prizes are actually on the table or on the chair behind us. You should work for him or get married to him. One of the two.
Wait, you're Kenson?
Yes.
Kenson?
Penson. Yeah, you get both pins.
Great victory.
So yes, the one
we have to
unique
keep
feature.
this flowing here. We have to keep this flowing.
We have to. Yeah, we've got a little bit of. We've got some more time, but we'll go a little quickly. So shrines and dungeons. That is still you, Miss A, actually.
Hello, I'm back. You haven't been filled with regret lately, have you? So we're gonna get away from exploration. Exploration is a huge topic, so we're gonna go back into the shrines and dungeons of the game now. There are only 4 dungeons in the huge world. It's like the biggest world in all of Zelda, and we only have 4 dungeons this time around. They're very detailed, but still only 4, which is reminiscent of Majora's Mask a little bit. The dungeons aren't really traditional. They're very big, they're very bulky. Some of them move, and they all move, actually. It's actually really cool. But the question for you guys is, are the divine beasts good? Do you want to see them return in the next Zelda? Or would you prefer to go back to the traditional dungeons of yesteryear?
Yeah, I don't like the divine beasts.
Really?
I actually prefer traditional dungeons.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the main issue is that with Zelda dungeons, yeah, I think it got a little repetitive where it's like once you find the weapon, you're going to use it throughout the rest of the dungeon. But I think at least with that, there were different weapons and there were different dungeons, and I think
unique puzzles to them.
yeah, it was mostly about that, and the shrines kind of incorporate that a little bit more. But when it came to the divine beast, it was just one mechanic, and it was move the divine beast in a particular way, and then use the apps on your phone in order to make things happen.
So in defense of the divine beasts, I think they were really fun. I don't think I prefer them to things like Stone Tower Temple, the Wind
Stone Tower
Temple,
Temple is
and
awesome.
Like those are some classic dungeons, and I think I want to see those type of things obviously in the future of Zelda. But I do like the idea of the divine beasts where you walk in and you already have all the tools at your disposal, and you do have like this one core mechanic that changes the entire dungeon in new ways. And yeah, it could be easy to understand after you make the elephant trunk spray water at different places all the time. You get that real quick, but I like the divine beasts in ways, and I think they could definitely take some things away from divine beasts and merge that in with the traditional Zelda dungeons and create the better future Zelda dungeon for us all.
Yay!
Yeah, I'd completely
I'm not
agree
answering the
with
question
that.
basically again.
I know, I feel the same way. Like, I don't really have an issue with the divine beasts, but I would have loved to have like at least one like dungeon. The closest we got was the Forgotten Temple, I think, in Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I think like I really like the divine beasts. The divine beasts are like some of my favorite parts of the game. I just love trying to figure it out, trying to like get through all these puzzles and be like, yeah, I'm smart, even though it took me an hour. But I do agree that some of the traditional aspects of Zelda Dungeons is missed. I would have loved to have seen more elemental things within the dungeons themselves, and like different themes and a different look, like a different, even if the dungeons weren't completely different in terms of mechanics from each other, I would have loved to have seen like a different skin for them, like the fire thing, you have like lava pouring in or whatever. They did look a little bit samey after a while. I can definitely agree with that, but like it was fun to play. I just like playing it.
I was actually stuck on Von Ruta forever because I didn't know I could move.
I think
truck.
everyone goes.
On our first playthrough, we actually had a glitch with one of the divine beasts where I think a switch that we were supposed to use to open a door wasn't working. Like it wasn't there.
That's unfortunate.
It was gone. It
That's
just
terrible.
never showed up, and I actually like had to take a picture of it when I went through my playthrough, just be like, it's right there. Why wasn't it? Like it was just missing.
Switch is like, nah, fam, I'm out.
I think we actually answered both panel questions. with
Yeah,
that
right
one,
there.
so I
Yeah,
think we can,
yeah.
Great.
So-
So we can move on then.
Yeah, we knocked
Oh.
out 2 birds with 1 stone. Ha ha ha, there's a bird on screen right now. Technically, it's a dungeon, but still.
Does that mean this is my turn now to speak?
Well,
we
we,
have-
we can still talk about shrines if you want.
Oh wait, are we still
Yeah,
on?
let's
shrines?
talk a little bit about
little
let's
more.
talk
Okay,
quickly.
cool. Sorry, I was like looking ahead.
You're
rehearsal.
excited, that's
I
all.
know.
So we don't have many dungeons in Breath of the Wild. There's only 4. It, like I said, is reminiscent of Majora's Mask, but it's made up for in the shrine count. There's like 120 shrines in the core game without DLC, and that's a lot of shrines. They're all fairly short, but there's a lot of them, and you find them at various places through the world. Are the shrines better than the divine beasts, and do they scratch your itch for the dungeons?
I think so.
Yes.
I literally like. I think the reason why they scrapped traditional dungeons was because there's so many shrines, and to top that with the divine beasts just kind of gives itself like. There's so many different puzzle types in each and every single shrine, and I think even DLC 2 shrines, except for Mipha's, were pretty exceptional because it wasn't just here's one, just use cry or just use stasis. It was like, let's merge it all. Like
Yeah.
you have to use both or like 2 specific apps in order to get through the shrines there. And I thought that was really cool, especially when they were able to do that.
I mean, a lot of people. I think they would be some people who want these traditional Zelda dungeons may have been happier if like we took 10 shrines from the big counter and we just kind of stuffed them in a divine beast. And like maybe they don't realize that we probably got the same amount of Zelda content, if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of how many shrines there are. We got more dungeons than ever before in a Zelda game. Just they're kind of cut up into pieces and sprinkled along the world. So I think we have enough. I think we have all the dungeons we need in Breath of the Wild. I just don't think that everybody realizes that they're just sprinkled on the world rather than clustered together as one giant sprinkle, which
Yeah.
sounds really good.
Want some
We're hungry.
shrine-covered cookies?
I haven't eaten today, so
I
let's
haven't
move away from the
either.
sprinkles.
But yeah, my answer to that is just yes. I think the shrines are great. They're a lot of fun. Even though I did say earlier, like, oh, it'd be great if we had like a traditional dungeon. The shrines really do it for me personally. You know, they scratch my itch.
Yeah, I do think that the shrines definitely fill in a lot of blanks, and don't quote me on this, but I do think that the shrines themselves are meant to kind of keep you interested and keep you in the dungeons, but also not keeping you in there for so long that you're not out in the world and exploring. I think a lot of the focus of the game is on the actual world itself, like, and that goes back to the exploration that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's digestible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if I'm going to be on the subway train, I got to finish this up. I got to go to work. So let's move on to combat. And Eric, I will let you take control of this part.
Ooh, Yeah, sometimes I'm wondering why I'm talking about this. Is I still struggle with Lionel's, but I'll go ahead and do my best. So
He's bloodthirsty on the inside. It's fine.
yeah, I am actually. I'm looking at you, Bokoblin. Anyways, so combat in the game was wickedly experimental. There were like RPG statistics in the form of offense, defense, and even hit points. And there were environmental strategies, attacking from above, lightning, hitting the grass and burning in
Using
fire.
rocks. And
Yeah, mixing electricity and water. And then the challenge was extremely intense at the very beginning, on the Great Plateau, actually. And not to even mention Master Mode.
Rip.
poor Cody.
But there aren't really any real items other than swords, staves, boomerangs, and bows, though. The original Legend of Zelda has more types of enemies than Breath of the Wild, too. So I guess that leads us to our question, was the combat fun? Did you ever find combat too repetitive? Was there an enemy you were hoping would make an appearance that didn't show up?
Not redeads. Screw those things. Hate them.
I don't know. So the thing about combat being too repetitive, I think back to the Wind Waker, which had one of the more robust like battle systems with like the parry technique, and I realized that in that game I mostly just pressed B a lot, and then if there was an enemy like a Dark Knight, I waited and pressed A, and then I continued to press B. And of course, there's sometimes where you use a weapon, but that's like, okay, well it's this enemy, I should use this weapon, and it's extremely flowchart. It's not like you have to be super creative. Well, I think Breath of the Wild, while it may have you don't have I guess you do have Fire Rod. You don't have like Cane of Packy to like flip enemies and turn them over like in Minish Cap. Like you don't have all these like really wacky items. You have a lot of different options with your core set that I think it's not as I think it's just as repetitive as any past Zelda game, to be honest with you, and that's not too bad. Like it's not too bad at all. So I think it's fine.
Fighting is good. I kind of lost my train of thought for like 2
good.
seconds. I'm like, we need to go. So I'm just going to be super quick about it. But I love the combat in Breath of the Wild. It's fun. It's not repetitive in any way, shape, or form unless you just continue to fight like 40 Lionels in a row, and it's like, all right, I got this. But it's just a lot of fun, and they do cool stuff too. Like especially referring back to the Lionels, you just get on the Lionel's back and you hit it 5 times, and it's just fun to do because it's like kind of emasculating to the Lionel in a way where it's just. Because at first he's like this big dang thing, and you're scared of him, but then you finally are just like, yeah, I've got this. Like you actually get to see yourself grow as you continue to play through the game, and you get to see Link grow as you continue to fight. So I thought that was really cool.
I just want to add really quick that I love the combat too. It's so creative, and they basically covered all of the points I would want to say. But I will say that I do kind of wish that there were more types of enemies throughout the game, because you can fight a billion bokoblins and you can fight bokoblins of different color, but they just hit harder and they have more HP.
Brown bokoblin. Brown or bokoblin?
Speaking of the enemies, what did you guys think about the difficulty curve in Breath of the Wild?
Some
I
people
died a
said the
lot.
game was too easy. Some people say the game was too easy, and I don't know where they're coming from. I mean, I found it to be really challenging on my first playthrough, and like if you're going to complain that much, I mean, Master Mode's there for you, and I've heard that's extremely difficult. I haven't done that yet. I'm playing when I do my 100% on my live stream. I'm going to do it on Master Mode.
People just like to brag.
Yeah.
Let them brag.
You're like, this game's so easy, and I'm like, good for you. I mean,
like,
I'm having trouble over here, and I played so much Zelda.
But like you have to figure out like what's going to kill you and what doesn't. And there are so many
Yeah.
times where you just wind up dying because you fall too far by
Yeah.
accident. And it's like, what do you mean fall damage? But it just kind of, in a Zelda game,
Well, there was fall damage. It just took 1 heart before.
Yeah, I think the game...
And it was funny.
Yeah, the game... the game actually allows you to control the difficulty a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can play it easy if you want, or you can play it hard, depending on how you do it. But what about weapon durability? What do you guys think about that?
I thought it was weird and dumb at first, but it's whatever.
fine.
I love it.
It's fine.
I am actually on the huge love it side of that because, like, if there wasn't weapon durability, let's all be real, we'd just be using swords all day. Just
That's
one-handed
true.
sword, bop, bop, bop. And I love that point where you get stuck with weapons that you're not totally familiar with, and it kind of forces you to be creative and learn new things. And I think that really benefited the game in keeping it fresh and keeping it exciting throughout the entire duration.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, in my original playthrough, I hated using the two-handed swords.
Exactly.
But then I started using them in my master mode file, and I love them now.
They're what I use the most, and I thought I'd hate them at first. If there wasn't weapon durability, I wouldn't have used them or even tried them.
Yeah.
Right?
Me and Stalfo Arm are gonna rock the world one day.
All right, so we're going to move on to our second trivia portion of today.
Oh boy.
Eric, you got this?
Yeah, I got this. I got
All right,
this.
I'll
Oh,
go
give
down.
me the mic.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Just
Wait, is
tell
it?
me the trivia.
Oh, okay, cool. You're gonna run. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm the runner.
All right, cool.
Go, man, go.
So, this is gonna be a tough one. I hope you guys are ready for this one. How many hits can you get?
What are we giving away?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What are we giving
What
away?
are we giving away?
How about a goddess statue and horn statue? Ooh.
Oh,
Courtesy of Gizmo Forge.
Check them out in the dealer's room.
this is great.
They're
I
cute.
totally forgot about the prize. You guys are gonna answer without knowing what you're gonna get. All right, that question. Are you guys ready? All right. How many hits can you get with a one-armed sword after a perfect dodge?
Less hands this time.
I know.
You
They're going to get tougher,
plebes.
man. They're going to
But
get
somebody knows in
tougher.
the front right there. Very animated. Very
All right.
animated. All right.
I wonder if he actually knows.
What's your name, man?
My name is Alex.
All right, Alex, do you know the answer to this question?
Of course. 7.
What?
7.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
MC's got it. Masay, he's got it.
I actually didn't watch him play Breath of the Wild, but I can vouch that he's played it.
Yeah, to those wondering, it is 7 for a one-handed sword. It is 4 for a two-handed weapon, and 9 for a spear.
Yeah, I actually didn't know those answers.
I honestly didn't care.
I have done so much
When I get a
combat.
flare, I'm like,
I am
I'm
not
like,
kidding. It is.
I'm not there like 1.
I'm literally just like fighting things, doing a flurry rush. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, well, good.
I
Let's
called you
move
guys
on.
plebes, but he asked me that question last night, and I got it wrong. I said 5. I'm plebing too.
All
All right, let's move on.
Let's speed it. And here is the question, just in case you were wondering what it was.
Yeah,
It's
maybe I
again,
should have had somebody as I was running. It's all
Oops.
right. It's okay.
answer.
Sorry.
Answer is 7. Yay!
PowerPoint says it, so it must be true.
All right.
We're moving on to
The family. There they are.
family. we're moving on to story and characters. Everyone knows Breath of the Wild was the biggest world of Zelda ever. But should it have the biggest story ever to match? That's the question. And that leads us to, do you think the story fulfilled your expectations about the game? And did the story take a backseat behind the exploration?
Very much yes.
Yes.
To that second question. But so there were a couple of things that they kind of gloss over in some of the memories where you kind of don't really understand why Zelda hates you so much in the beginning. They kind of talk about it, but it's just like that was something that I wish they could have explored a little bit more. And I mean, open world games are pretty good at telling stories. I think as this is Nintendo's kind of first open world game, they're kind of warming up to the concept. But I think they could have done a little bit
Really?
more.
I actually thought they covered that pretty well.
Well, she felt guilty, I suppose.
Well,
but
I felt like she felt like she wasn't fulfilling her duty as Zelda. And then here was Link being like, he seemed like this naturally talented person, and
He just pulls out his master sword, he goes
Yeah.
around and he slays.
Yeah, and she
Well-
was upset that she couldn't do that.
I would have liked to have seen that point. But I guess like when you read diaries and everything, you get more background, and it seems that she kind of warms up to him. I guess I would have liked to have seen some sort of confrontation where she finally kind of goes, oh, okay.
I mean, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that a lot of what I like when people say there's not much story in Breath of the Wild, I like to be like, I mean, if you take it at a very cutscene level, yeah, it's not as big. But a lot of the story in Breath of the Wild comes from the little things you find, like the diaries for talking to the characters, and like the little things they say, like, oh, I hope the calamity doesn't come back again, or stuff like that. And like those little things, I think, really make the story complete in my eyes. And I don't think there's a lack of story in Breath of the Wild. I think it's a different way to tell the story, especially with the memories.
Yes, and a lot of the story is told through the environment.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
I kind of look at it from the direction of like, yes, it was a little light on story, but also a lot of the Zelda games were. A few of them were very in depth, like Majora's Mask and Skyward Sword and stuff like that. Like they had a little bit more. They were a little bit more story driven, but a lot of them were a little like, hey, you got this big baddie. It's not Calamity Ganon, but it's regular Ganon, and you have to go defeat him and stuff like that. And I feel like the memories, even though they are disjointed, I feel like that matches the game because Link doesn't remember crap until the memories. So it's like filling in patches, and so I felt like it really matched. And it really brought me more into the game because I'm learning only bits and pieces here and there. It might be completely out of order, but it kind of brought me into the spirit of the game and like how Link would probably feel in that situation. You're just thrown into this world 100 years later, and it's like, oh, good morning. Everything sucks. So I even though, yes, I can agree that it is not as story-driven, if there was any game to do it in, Breath of the Wild was it. I would like to see more of a fleshed-out story later, but I would think that now that they have the open-world aspect like really down pat, they might be able to focus on that a little more later.
I think that touches. We already practically answered our second.
Yeah.
Question.
I was actually thinking maybe we should move on to our next slide.
Oh, yeah.
If that's all right.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's keep flowing.
All right. So let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
MC, you got it?
So at the end of the game, everybody's all excited because you get to do the assault on Hyrule Castle, and that's so epic and big. And then you show down with Calamity Ganon, and of course, if you've been saving the champions, that makes it that much easier. And then there's the credits, which are definitely something I want to talk about. And then there's a little bonus scene if you've gotten all the memories, which if you're like me, you didn't walk in Hyrule Castle until you had only that one left that was in Hyrule Castle. But let's talk about it. You guys like Hyrule Castle, the Calamity Ganon fight, all that kind of lumped together? Was that cool for you? Or
I loved Hyrule Castle. Calamity Ganon was cool. The part after Calamity Ganon
Beast Ganon
was a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I liked Beast Ganon.
Thank you.
He was
I
so
like you.
like he's really huge and grand, and it's like, oh my god.
It may be simple to beat, but it was still like, holy smokes.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And like, I think the one thing that I can criticize about it is that it is as intimidating as it is very easy, and it's very like, oh, let's shoot this thing. But I feel like that's made up for tenfold in the presentation and like the feeling that you get from it. It's bigger than
change
life.
in the music when you get to that last
Yes.
hit. And I was like,
yes, it's so good. It's so
I'm like,
good.
oh my god, it's time to go. Let's go.
I like you.
I do agree with those points. I can't argue against that. I just wish like he wasn't just some giant lumbering.
Oh, but that makes
cinematic.
it so cool.
But I wanted him to try to kill
Pure
me.
malice is trying to kill you, and you call him
He
boring.
does. He does. There's a giant
this
laser.
discussion a
He's
little
not
bit
trying to
later.
kill me.
Okay.
He's just, like,
You're right.
throwing up on
Let's
everything.
move on. The only thing I have to say is that my horse died in the cutscene at the end because he had already fired his laser.
Oh my god.
So you literally go from that point to the final hit, and you hear the horse winning,
Oh my
dying
god. Please tell me you
in
saved
the
that
background.
You have the most unfortunate experiences.
clip. Oh my god.
Now we're working
I thought it
towards.
was funny.
Let's talk about the credits real quick. So I am a huge fan of The Legend of Zelda, its music and all that. And I love Breath of the Wild. And I've been up here defending it as much as I can. But the credits are probably my least favorite thing about Breath of the Wild because all they did is played a bunch of tracks in a row that were already in the game. And like nothing says. Like I was hoping for this big epic ending, and then just starts playing Kakariko Village in my head, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not what I quite expect. I love the game. I think they ran out of time when it came to like let's do our credits music orchestration. And they're like, sorry, Koji Kondo's out today, so ship the game.
Do we still have the rights to believe her, or is it just the commercials?
Oh my god.
Get Imagine Dragons on the horn.
I'm going to be real. I don't really remember the credits because I was busy being emotional by a certain sound effect that the Master Swords makes.
Yes.
I was freaking losing my mind and I
Same.
wasn't paying attention to the credits.
Poor feet.
I loved that.
It was so good.
I don't know if Anand was just trying to like play with our hearts, or if he just was reusing sound effects for the fun of it. But
No, I'm sure that was playing with your heart. They could have done anything else or they could have done nothing at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But it was so good. It was so good. My heart.
I was laughing
see
because
a
my
link
horse
up
died.
and then the bonus scene. Anybody like the bonus scene?
What was the bonus scene?
The bonus scene?
What was the bonus scene?
I forget.
Collecting the 13 memories, and you get your bonus scene where it's just Zelda kind of mapping out their day's agenda because everything's actually
Oh,
fine.
was that? Did you only get that if you get 13?
Yeah,
only get it if you
got
go
it.
to
Oh, I
memories.
didn't know
Okay,
You
that.
literally
I
just
remember
go to the
now.
start screen
I
if you
remember
don't.
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a nice little
We liked
like
it.
cap on the end.
It was cute.
Yeah.
And now it's time for more trivia.
Yeah!
Our third prize is apparently we don't know.
Wait, hold on. Yes, this is correct. I do know. It
We
is
do know.
Banquet of the Wild, courtesy of Fangamer.
Banquet of the Wild.
Is a great little cookbook where you get to view all the recipes, hand drawn by Carrie Fry. You
She's
should go,
awesome.
If you don't win this, you should go definitely check it out and buy it.
Carrie Fry, what a sweetheart. Let's talk about the question, which is there are 3 dragons in Breath of the Wild. What are their names?
What are the
Hands in
names?
the air. Hands in the air.
I need 3 dragons. All 3 of them. Just imagine them very quickly in your mind.
Imagine dragons.
Imagine them very briefly. Let's go to the back.
We're going to the back this time.
Let's see. Is that just your stick, or are you trying to answer the question?
Take the shot. Take the shot.
All right, let's go with you.
I know it's so good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, what's your name?
I am Averill.
Averill, can you answer the 3 names of each and every dragon? Because I usually forget.
Farash, Dinral, and Nadra.
That's correct.
Yeah, you're right.
Wow, good job.
Correct.
Can I just say that I wanted a cookbook in the game so bad? That would have been great to have.
Instead, you just get pictures all over the place. And
All right. Now, while he gets back up there, we're going to be talking about DLC and the future of the Legend of Zelda series. There's the answer. There they are.
Cute dragons.
These are the DLC.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the future. What's up next?
What is the future?
Tell us, Andrew.
Oh, right. That's my part. So actually, here comes a thought that might alarm you. All the DLC is done. There's no more Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is over. So once you finish the Champions Ballad, that's pretty much it. No more continuation of the story. No more added features. So let's talk about Champions Ballad real quick. What did you guys like it? What did
It's
you like?
good.
It's awesome.
Yes.
I stayed up till 4 in the morning last night trying to finish it, and I did it. I got 4 hours of sleep. You're welcome.
Urbosa is my queen.
She's a queen.
She's amazing. Like I was like, Urbosa's cool, and then they showed a cutscene with Urbosa, and she's like,
literally-
boom, and I'm like, holy crap, step
She
step
does
down.
She's
her
so
pose
good.
from the figure, and it's
I
just
love
like,
that.
all of them do
They
the
all do.
poses.
do they do?
Yeah,
all of
Mifa
them
too.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she
So
always looks like that, though.
Urbosa was always my favorite.
And then
Still
and
is
then
my
she
favorite.
just slayed. She slayed.
Does
But
that
I
JoJo's
thought
pose?
Mipha was really cool.
Mifa
And-
had more character in this
and we
one.
got to see a little bit of side.
Yeah, a
Baby
little baby
side
side
on.
on.
Baby
I
side
just
on
think that
best.
my main problem with it was just like, I really didn't like Mifa's shrines. I didn't. They were not fun. I remember doing the staircase one, and I got it. I finished it, and I was half asleep, and I couldn't remember how I did it, and I was like, I don't really care.
I
how
still
did it.
think Rivali's a prick.
But I love it. But I'm in love with it.
You get to
cool,
see his
though.
sensitive side.
But he worked hard to get to where he was.
Yes.
He worked
He's a
hard for that, right?
Bert.
All right, we literally are at 1 minute, so I'm actually going to cut ourselves a little short.
Well, can we finish off with Trivia 4 at least?
Yeah.
We're going to do Trivia 4.
Trivia 4.
So we get to see our prize already.
And you can win Link Nendoroid.
Yes,
Breath of the Wild
Nendroids.
Nendoroid Link. So our final question
The-
of this morning, I'll let Miss A take it over.
This is a really hard question. Good luck, you guys get no hints at all. How many selfie poses can Link make?
All right.
I had no idea
So
about
this is a little bit of a tricky question. So let's see if anyone can get this right. Let's see.
I was about to go get that and you
I
already
want to try and work a little hard. Yes, you and the beard.
My son.
It's a gigantic beard. Can you answer this question of how many selfie poses Link can make?
8.
I'll take it.
What did he say?
There are 8 selfie poses technically. There are more that you can also do, but I will take 8 as an answer. Come on and get your prize.
Acceptable answer, yeah.
Enjoy your Nendroid.
If you hold the ZL button, then you can use a directional stick in order to do extra
I
poses.
don't like him too much.
If you're holding specific weapon combinations, apparently some of those directional buttons will do different things. So yeah, but because it's kind of a tricky question, we'll go with 8. But there might be more. If you take off your shield and with the one-handed sword, see what you can do. Oh, okay, so we don't really have time for Q&A. We just managed to get through by the skin of our teeth.
The question
so.
is, are we done with our panel? The answer is
yes.
The answer is correct.
yes.
We're very done with our panel. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you all for coming. You guys are awesome. Keep exploring.
Thank you so much.